In looking at the design of the snap bite stick, it's important to understand what the difference is and why you would choose to use a snap bite stick over a traditional fork style a bite registration technique. The difference is going to be mainly in the design. If you look at the George gauge or a traditional fork size type of bite technique, when they bite down into it, all it's controlling is the vertical or the protrusive movement. When the patient goes to bite down onto it, the patient is required to bite down onto a level plane that's artificial or may not be the way they naturally bite. As opposed to the snap bite stick, when they go to bite down onto it, it doesn't necessarily measure how much protrusive the patient is, but it does determine the vertical and also accommodates for the pitch, roll, and yaw that the jaw is doing. I'll demonstrate that now. To demonstrate the difference, it's important to understand what's potentially happening clinically with the patient. As they're speaking, the jaw doesn't just move forward, backwards, or vertically. What often happens in the patient's mouth is the jaw can have a pitch, roll, and yaw movement that's very difficult to capture. That's where the true advantage of the snap bite stick is versus the George gauge, where the George gauge, because it's got a natural fork there, when the patient goes to open and bite into the George gauge, what you'll notice is that the patient naturally will bite into a more artificial occlusal cant, meaning that as they're biting onto the George gauge, they're biting leveled down onto it, and it's leveled according to what the flat plane of the gauge is, like so. So what that does is that can create an artificial occlusal cant that may be not natural to the patient, creating an orthotic or a splint or sleep apnea appliances that has an incorrect occlusal vertical. The George gauge, when you go to put it in there, what happens is that the patient will bite down and their occlusal cant that may be happening will be corrected or artificially adjusted based on what the occlusal cant is, based on the fork. Where the snap bite stick is, since it's cylindrical and it's rounded, and you have the patient bite down, it doesn't matter which size you choose. Since it's cylindrical, it will allow the patient's bite to be captured at the proper vertical that you're desiring and still maintaining the occlusal cant. So whether the patient's bite is this way or the occlusal cant is that way, or a combination of a pitch, roll, and yaw, it'll be able to be captured by positioning the snap bite stick like so. So ideally, you want to position the snap bite stick on the anteriors, resting on the centrals and laterals of the upper and lower, holding it still and injecting the bite registration on the posterior. Please thumbs up this video if it was informative, and subscribe or comment to receive notifications of future video tutorials. All products being demonstrated are available at beinnovations.com.